Soul Hackers 2 has been out for a few weeks now, and it's about time I shared my thoughts while they're still fresh. It took some reflection after finishing my Let's Play to really digest the core aspects of the game. Some parts were fantastic, and others, well, not so much. The thing is, it's just really mediocre. It's not average in every area though. I mean, the music, for example, is one of the best soundtracks I've heard in recent times. That says a lot, considering I play primarily JRPGs on this channel. Other elements like the gameplay and battle systems are just lackluster. For the sake of positivity though, let's discuss the nice parts and visit Cyberpunk Tokyo once more. Earlier, I mentioned the soundtrack. Well, it's good. It's really good. A perfect blend of synthwave and 2000s techno leave a lasting impression on your ears. It was no surprise to discover that Keiichi Okabe himself was a composer. Okabe-san worked on Nier Automata and Nier Replicant. The tracks during flashbacks and hangout events were some of my most loved, and I look forward to adding them to my playlist. Speaking of this, the Soul Hackers 2 soundtrack is coming to Spotify on October 26, which is a nice change from, the 5 years it took Atlas to put Persona 5 on there? In terms of characters, credit needs to be given when it's due, and it most certainly is evident with the design of Ringo, Arrow, Milady, and Saizo. Putting their awe-inspiring appearance aside, each character feels unique from one another, and I started to take a genuine interest in their respective backstories. I even completed the mind-numbingly long and repetitive soul matrices for each party member, but we'll talk about that later. Ringo is a robot, or an android, or a super AI. Honestly, I'm not completely sure, but she's a perfect blend of smug and sarcastic, while learning to care for her fellow squadmates throughout the game. Also a walking sex symbol. Right, next was Arrow. He's the first party member Ringo encountered. Might be a little dry and stubborn, but that's alright. His taste in red clothing makes up for any shortcomings. Someone told me that Arrow was originally going to be the main character, which I as well theorized. The early trailers clearly showcase him in a protagonist sort of way. Milady joins a little later, a firing tsundere sort of personality. I'm not actually sure about the tsundere part, because she may just plainly hate the members of Ringo's group, if you're familiar with the story. Her backstory is, how do we say, complex. I'm genuinely surprised no one talked about this, but her flashbacks are a teeny tiny bit creepy in a certain light. Still, except for Ringo, she is my beloved. Starting to wonder if there's a theme surrounding my girl choices. Saizo is a cool cat, well, a cool shark, one could say. He's the last member to join us, but still adds plenty of flavor to the rather dire circumstances. His obsession with Ash is a little simpy, but that's completely understandable, midriff dude. The supporting characters are certainly lacking, however. This ties in with the negative parts of the story, but the individuals who help Ringo's team are just boring. Victor and Madame Ginko are okay, but it's wrong to say they have the same presence when compared to the original Soul Hackers. That's about it for the characters though. The main party are lovely and carefully crafted from both a mental and physical perspective. One thing to point out is how fast your party fills up. I value this greatly, considering how little time some characters are given in the Megaten universe. Okay, so a strong point of Megaten games has always been the story. Sure, the characters are fine in Soul Hackers 2, but can it be backed up with an intriguing and thought-provoking plot? Well, not really. My save file is on its third playthrough, and I still struggle to comprehend the concept of the storyline. This is disappointing because the backdrop of the morally gray and technologically dominated world of Cyber Tokyo is right up my alley. The main gripe I have is this. There's a certain encounter you experience about midway through the game after defeating Iron Mask. Skip ahead 30 seconds if you want to avoid a major story spoiler. Anyway, so all of a sudden Fig decides to follow through with Raven's task of destroying the world, which at the time is just strange. I mean, sure, there's plenty of innuendo and foreshadowing about her feelings towards Raven, but considering she's a supposed level-headed of the two sisters, it caught me off guard. There's a lot to be said when the optional Soul Matrix flashbacks have a greater appeal than the main story itself. As well, none of the choices you make throughout the game have an impact on the ending. There are solely 2 of them, which are based on your completion of the Soul Matrix. Remember when SMT games had the ending decided for you based on your subconscious choices rather than just, here, do you want good or bad in the final battle? Megaten has always been known for provocative stories that question my humanity. Now, a crucial aspect to any modern-day JRPG, the gameplay. How enjoyable is it? Are we talking about Rado Kusunoha, or more like Persona 5 Royal? Well, Rado gets a pass because that's a 2006 release, and Persona 5 Royal is plain fun, so probably see where I'm going with this. The gameplay is just utterly monotonous and boring. Demon negotiations, never heard of them. Run function, what, you want to run in 2022? Well, what about the all-new all-out attack system, Sabbaths? Those must be interesting in some way, right? Well, one would hope. Pardon my eruption of vilest complaints, but this is easily my biggest issue with the game. When I first saw the reveal videos for the battle system, I was feeling pretty good about everything. Like an S&T style game with Persona 5 combat. Sounds fantastic. But yeah, that's not what happens. The combat is just boring. There's no one-mores as seen in Persona. Neither are there any turn management as seen in S&T 3, 4, or 5. Sabbaths come down to stacking weaknesses for a relatively cool animation of your demons performing, well, an all-out attack. That's about the only work that was put into demon animations because all attacks look the exact same. One would think that Satan's Morningstar would look a little different from any other almighty ability, but it's simply not the case. One silver lining is the addition of commander skills. Sure, they're a little basic, but it's a new feature we haven't seen before, and that's always welcome in my eyes. Okay, let's talk about demon negotiations. They don't exist. Well, they do exist, but not really. Step 1. Approach a pre-chosen demon with a negotiation icon. Step 2. Give them what they want. Step 3. You now have a demon. Atlus has streamlined this unique concept to the Megaten franchise, and for what reason? I mean, difficulty, if I had to assume. Do I enjoy contemplating the time that Nekomata denied me 9 times in a row in SMT3? No, I do not, but it's still good fun to talk with each demon and learn about their personality. Let's see, that about sums it up in terms of my word vomit associated with Soul Hackers 2. There's quite a few things I didn't go over, such as side missions and the disgusting greed behind the Day 1 DLC, but plenty of other users have discussed that in detail already. If you're a Megaten aficionado such as myself, then sure, buy Soul Hackers 2 and relish in the glory that is Ringo and her team. For those new to the SMT games in general, wait for Persona 5 Royal, coming to modern consoles on October 21st. The amount of times I've mentioned this in my video, you would think Atlus would pay a royalty to me. That's it though. Many thanks my friends, and I will see you around for whatever I do next.